Chapter 22, Urbanization and Sustainable Cities. As of 2015, more than 50% of the world's population lived in urban areas. In industrialized nations, the number is even higher. This high degree of urbanization has led to many environmental problems. Why have so many people moved to urban areas? What can we do to combat the problems associated with this high level of urbanization? Urbanization is a modern issue. Prior to industrialization, most people lived in rural areas and were engaged in agricultural practices. As industrialization improved yields, more and more people could move to the cities. Again, though, the question is why? What forces drive urbanization? Urban share of total population, Table 22.1. Cities. As urban areas merge into nearly continuous megacities, some geographers have begun to refer to them as urbanized core regions. World urbanization. In 1900, only 13 cities had populations greater than 1 million. By 2007, there were 300 such cities. None of the top 13 are in Europe, and only New York and Los Angeles are in a developed country. Cities larger than 1 million in 2025. Many factors affect urbanization. As mentioned earlier, with industrialization, more and better foods become available. Additionally, urbanization is affected by push and pull factors. Push factors are factors that force people to move. For example, lack of economic opportunities in rural areas push people to move to the city. Pull factors draw people to the city. An example of a pull factor may be better housing. Regardless, both lead to increased immigration into urbs. Immigration push factors: overpopulation in countryside, economics, racial or religious conflicts, land ownership by a wealthy elite, changes in agriculture, large monoculture farms. Immigration pull factors: excitement and vitality of cities, jobs, housing, entertainment, social mobility and power, specialization of professions. Current world problems. Because of mass migrations into urban areas, many less developed countries are experiencing problems with housing. Because of the poor economies of these countries, little money is available for infrastructure development and housing. This has led to housing that is either substandard or illegal. These areas are often prone to disease outbreaks and crime. Shantytown. Developed world. Even developed countries are not without problems associated with urbanization. One issue is urban sprawl. As people move to urban locations, housing prices tend to rise. To make houses affordable, houses are built further and further outside of the urban centers because land is less expensive and easier to find. This increases the associated footprint of the urban area. Because these areas are often outside of a city's jurisdiction, regulatory authority is often less than in the city. This also leads to other issues such as increased driving, congestion, and the need for more roads. Urban sprawl consumes land. While many problems are the result of urban sprawl, one of the biggest issues is destruction of habitat. People usually only think of the land used for the homes, but rarely consider the roads, sewers, and other utilities that are also required. For example, each mile of a 4-lane road destroys 10 acres of habitat. As a result, habitat destruction is often orders of magnitude greater than the actual population increase. Growth of Las Vegas, Nevada, 1972 to 1992. Social consequences of urban sprawl. Environmental issues are not the only concerns associated with urban sprawl. As we mentioned earlier, sprawl increases the need for transportation and results in more miles driven. For the young and the old, this may present an issue if transportation is limited to public means. Additionally, as people move out of the cities, tax revenues decline, which affects infrastructure and the availability of essential services. Mass transit makes cities more livable. One solution to sprawl and driving is mass or public transit. Many cities have developed mass transit systems that are very efficient and that preclude the need for individual automobiles. However, the costs to build these systems can be prohibitive for smaller urban areas. Another option is to adopt smart growth practices. These practices encourage efficient uses of space and encourage mixed land use. One benefit is the preservation of green spaces, which promotes healthier lifestyles. Historical examples of smart growth are new towns and garden cities. New towns and garden cities. New towns. Numerous experiments to try and combine best efforts of rural village and modern city. New urbanism. A more recent development is the idea of new and green urbanism. New urbanism developments organize populations of 30,000 to 50,000 around essential services and jobs. This is done to promote walking and smaller, less polluting vehicles as the primary means of transportation. Unlike new urbanism that plans new cities, green urbanism develops or redevelops existing cities to be more ecologically friendly. This concept really took off in the 1990s with President Bill Clinton's Brownfield Initiative. These normally abandoned spaces were redeveloped into more micro-urban centers. These projects have revitalized many inner-city urban centers. Green urbanism continued. Some examples from the Netherlands. These encourage co-housing, groups of houses around a common green space. Provide recycling facilities. Invite public participation